Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Guys, we're going to talk about Ijmaa. What is Ijmaa and can it be authoritative every single time on every issue? What is your take on the Ijmaa? Okay, so I want to show you some problems with taking that view of Ijmaa over everything. And before I even start, I think let's just start. Okay, so Ijmaa basically means consensus of the scholars. Now, this consensus stuff, I realize that it depends on who you're talking to. So somehow it's also relative to a particular location. So for example, the Ijmaa of the scholars in Nigeria, the Ijmaa of the scholars in Saudi, the Ijmaa of the scholars in USA, for example. It's possible like that. And there's also some kind of Ijmaa that is talking about historically, the Ijmaa historically. There's also Ijmaa of the Sahaba or something like this. There's many things about Ijmaa. So it means consensus or something that has been agreed upon by the majority. Now, the issue is this. I've seen this happen many times and it's about time we call this out. So the people, for example, let me give you one good example. In Aqeedah, there's an issue about the Ash'ari and the Athari. So there's some saying that majority of the people are Ash'ari, okay? Now, whenever you tell an Athari that the majority of the people are Ash'ari, the majority of the scholars are Ash'ari. So let's say we are going to vote, for example. So the Ash'aris win because many institutions are like in Egypt and in Pakistan and stuff like this, they're Ash'ari, okay? So in a way they will win, right? But the Athari guys, the first thing they will tell you is that, bro, doesn't mean because of their majority that it's true. It doesn't mean it's true because they are majority. You see that principle that just because there are many people, it doesn't mean it's true. To me, it depends on how you understand the concept of Ijmaa. If you think the Ijmaa is right no matter what, then you cannot take that position. But I realize that whenever you are in the minority, you tend to use some hadiths that are related to the minority. So you say, you know what, you'll find those hadiths that talk about possibility of being right even though everybody's wrong. So and I'll show you historically also why I don't think this Ijmaa thing is going to work over time. It depends. See, everyone at the end of the day will end up deciding what they want. That's the whole point. But before I get there, let's just continue. So the Ijmaa thing, the Athari, if they are in the minority, they tend to use they will say Ijmaa doesn't matter. But when they are in the majority, they will say you have to follow the Ijmaa. Like on other issues, like consensus of the scholars on this issue is this. Okay, the consensus. So why are you using Ijmaa sometimes and then Ijmaa, you are not using it other times? Okay, and there's also another one, that Ijmaa of my own scholars. Somehow, like if you say there's Ijmaa, maybe you're talking about the Saudi scholars, like Sheikh Ibn Baz and Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, and those people, those set of people that are your own scholars. That's the Ijmaa you're talking about. For example, if you go to like Islam question and answer or something like this, I think they will show you Ijmaa of scholars of a particular niche. Okay, no problem. But so when you say Ijmaa, sometimes it doesn't really mean that's the most view of the most Muslims. So that needs to be stated. Now, remember I just showed you, when someone is in the majority, he will say Ijmaa. When he's in the minority, he will say we cannot use Ijmaa, or it doesn't really matter. No problem. That's just now historically, has this ever been the case? There's one hadith like this I heard about, that this hadith talks about the ummah will never be on misguidance or something like this. Like the majority of the ummah will never be on misguidance or something related to this. That there will always be the Ijmaa that will be correct. So let's say there's a consensus among the Muslims, that's the right position. Okay, that there's one view like this. And even there are some views that say both parties will be rewarded, but the Ijmaa will be rewarded with, if they get it right, and if they don't get it right, they will also be rewarded, something like this. But the point is this, pay attention to this. The fact that the Ijmaa in history has not always been the position you are holding right now. Many of the positions you hold right now, there was a time in the past when the majority or the people in power. So what I'm trying to show you is that politics, demography and many things has to do with it also. So somehow it's a political strife, and whoever comes out on top gets to decide the Ijmaa. There were some places where Why is it that it's geographical? This whole sectarian thing is geographical. Why is it that some people in the Pakistani area, the Hanafi and this thing, is geographical and historical? So it's not something that they just, this argument is compelling, let's follow this one. No, sometimes it's just geographical, plainly like that. Now, another thing I want to point out is that, remember in the time of Imam Ahmad, he was the only one, or at least the Hanbalis were the ones saying the Quran is not created. Whereas the people in authority, remember, listen to the people of authority. The people in authority in the time of Imam Ahmad, the Mu'tazila, they were the ones that the government chose. The government chose them as the orthodox view of that time. And they persecuted Imam Ahmad and the likes. The point I'm showing you is that and I think it's one of the reasons why I think the Hanbali madhab, and I think I was watching one video about the usul fiqh of Imam Ahmad, that he doesn't take ijma on some issues. For example, he doesn't really take ijma because ijma could be wrong. So he tends to favor a position of what is true. It's not about ijma. What is true is true. It doesn't matter the ijma. Somehow like this. I will check if I can find something related to that later. But the point I'm making is that it's possible that you find yourself in a situation where the ijma, they are taking a position of, for example, that the Quran is created, and you want to say the Quran is not created. What do you do then? Do you follow the ijma or you don't? You see? And in that situation, Imam Ahmad, he didn't follow them. And he said, I disagree with them, with the ijma, with the majority, with the people in power and everything. But I've asked this to my friend, like, he was all about this ijma thing. And then I showed him this example. And I told him, if you find yourself in that situation, what would you do? I think that's the approach that the Muslims need to take. What would you do if you were in the time of Imam Ahmad and the people in authority that we are supposed to follow and the ijma, they said the Quran is created, and you don't believe that? How do you come to that conclusion that you don't believe that? You have a particular methodology that you're using, that it doesn't matter the ijma. If they disagree on a particular issue that is true, you will still be able to disagree with them. Once you have that criteria, then you cannot, it doesn't matter where you are, you will still be able to decide and take a position. So that's my own view, that, see, most of the matters that ijma, because of course the majority, by the way, when I say majority of the Muslims do not agree on nonsense stuff, they will agree on something that maybe the interpretation is not clear, and they take a particular view that is controversial, but the lines are not very far apart anyway. But just imagine that it could be any other way. Like the people that are born Shia, they are just born in that area. Like, think about it. You are Sunni because you were born Sunni. Those guys are Shia, they were born Shia. It's not easy to just think that what you have been following is wrong. It takes a lot of effort to do that. And just try change your mind on a particular position. You will see how difficult it is. Now imagine people that their whole life, their whole family, their whole entire childhood has been raised on being a Shia. You think they're going to just leave it like that? So sometimes we need to understand the nuance of what's going on, right? So I just felt I should put that out there. The people of Egypt. So, and now let's now talk historically. Let's say maybe in the future the things change again, and the majority of the Muslims now, they take a particular position that the Quran is created. For, let's say, for 10,000 years they took that position, and then some people look back and they said, you know what, for 10,000 years they were taking that position, only for like 1,000 years they took the other position. Which one should we follow? Hey, it seems like, bro, this thing, think about the future also. It will come a time where things might not be the same way that we have it now. Okay, should the people follow the ijma, or they should try to find the truth using clear reasoning and methodology that is sound? I think that's what we should focus on, not mainly ijma only, because it can be political. It can be political. Why would the what's it called? The school of thoughts be fighting each other? There are historical events where the Shafis and all these people, they fight each other. There are people of different Aqeedah, they fight each other. Until today, you still find the remnants. What, you know, there's one thing about the fiqh, the four positions, four school of thoughts. It wasn't this nice before. They used to fight each other. It was not like they agree with. Of course, they disagree with each other on issues, but it wasn't so nice until one ruler brought them together under his government. But this same thing didn't happen in Aqeedah. I think that's why in Aqeedah we're still fighting. Maybe if one guy had come and then put us together, maybe we would just be like, all the first, just like you say, all the first mazhab is okay. Maybe right now you'll be like, all the four Aqeedah is okay, right? But we are fighting. So I think these things are historical, political, geographical, any way you want to look at it. So the best way, the way you can see through all of this is to not immerse yourself in a particular thing just because of consensus or of where you are, or generally try to find the truth no matter what, and pray to Allah and get yourself educated and take a position. Take an educated position, okay? And may Allah guide us all. But I just wanted to show you. So this Ijmaa thing, you will see. This one thing I assure you. You will see whenever you find yourself in the minority. Let's say the Ashari, the Athari or the Salafis. Whenever they're in the minority, they will say, the Ijmaa doesn't matter. Whenever they're in the majority, they will say, yeah, the Ijmaa. So let me know what you think about this guy. So see you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.